Shalom Lakam, Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
We in the Torah portion of Tetze, right?
Okay.
Of Tetze, which is Kaya Tatza, which means four shall go out. For when you go out, right? Which deals with warfare. You know, now this is the Mashra Yasha'Allah, Banya Yasha'Allah, Mashra Yasha'Allah mainly, office of Torah, with the chair elder of that office to my left side right here. Mashra Yasha'Allah Torah lessons are often imitated, but never duplicated by you suckers out there. All right? By you suckers out there. And some of you suckers is out of order. Some of you suckers want to do your own thing and don't want to get right with the structure the Most High has given us, with the elders and the officers, the judges and officers and the elders, the system that we see Paul setting up, but that's all right. All right, because I'm telling y'all, when the ish, are you getting started, all getting warmed up already, huh? And struck a Madonna pose over here, huh? When the ish hits the fan, a lot of y'all gonna be looking for the Mashra Yasha'Allah office of Torah. So I'm telling you, the way we are teaching and instructing you the Torah is from the Holy Spirit, from Chakma, from the Most High. Don't get it twisted. Don't get deceived. All right? So these are the commandments of the Most High. The first section we're going to read about is a man dealing lawfully and righteously with a Gentile woman as his wife. All right? And a lot of y'all don't really want to respect the laws of the Most High because your own emotions are dictating to you what you can and can't do, as opposed to the law of Yahweh. You understand? When Yahweh said, don't abhor an Edomite, we're going to read that this week. Chapter 23, that's what it means. That's what it means. Don't abhor an Edomite. All right? When he says you can take a Gentile woman when you go to war, it means, yes, you can deal with a heathen woman when you go to war, exactly as the law says, and bring her home and make her your rib. That's what the scripture says. So there's a lot of things in the scriptures that people have a problem with. It's not my problem. There's only one judge at the end of the day, and it's Yahweh. And we, as judges, judge you from the laws of Yahweh, period. All right? So let's go into Deuteronomy chapter 21, verses 10 through 21. And if the Torah isn't specific about a certain law, well, we have examples in the Bible, we have stories in the scriptures, we have history in the scriptures that give us an insight. We have the counsel of Yahweh. And if you don't know what the counsel of Yahweh is, you have to study about it. But we have the counsel of Yahweh that also directly and personally gives us what the Most High wants done. This is his counsel. What is his counsel? It's wisdom. All right? It's not the DNA of the ancestors inside your chromosomes. All right? It's not the altar you built inside of your heart. All right? It's not the ancestor, your grandmother speaking to you, her spirit speaking to you through your son. All right? Like the brother Yaki is trying to teach is madness, and it's Hinduism at best, witchcraft at worst, because all these things is being taught by Hindus. You can be part of the ultimate high intelligence, all right? Well, y'all gonna find out, boy, that when you go into them doctrines of Buddhism, what lies at the end of the road for you is nirvana. What is nirvana? Nothingness. Nirvana is nothingness. All right? So the goal is to, so anyway, so we teach you the Torah, all these other doctrines and stuff that's coming out from different offices and different communities and camps and organizations. Some of them may be good, some of them may not be good. Only ones I can vouch for is the ones that's taught by the Mashra Yasha'Allah office of Torah, which is the central Torah authority of Israel. So with that, we're going to go on and start reading the Torah portion for today. Tetze, which is Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 10 through Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 19. All right, let's start reading.
When thou goest forth to battle against thine enemies, and Yahweh thy Elohim delivereth them into thy hands, and thou carriest them away captive, and seest among the captives a woman of goodly form.
So you see a woman that you think looks good. Go ahead.
And thou hast a desire unto her.
So you want this beautiful woman, read.
And wouldst take her to thee to wife.
So you see this woman when you went to war, and you want to make this woman your wife. Go ahead. Another one, let me say this too. A lot of you brothers, including my own family members, man, a lot of y'all got the ugliest Gentile woman I could imagine. Most High specifically say, yo, you got this woman in war, she better look good, okay? Well, a lot of y'all get the most ugliest, raggediest Gentile woman y'all can find. Not only are you going against your own nation, but you're going to get the rejects from the other nations, right? You understand what I'm saying? You're going to get the rejects from the other nations. So the Most High is saying, one, you go to war. So this is a dire social situation going on. You go to war and you kill people. Or you go to war and you was at the camp watching everybody's stuff, protecting the camp. So anyway, you go to war. And when you do go to war, what happens? When you go to war, you see a Gentile woman that looks good. You know, I'm not condoning you brothers to just go out and get Gentile women at all. But, don't get the ugliest Gentile reject woman you can find. I mean, doggone it. I mean, dang on. And you know who you are? You know, like I said, I got brothers in my family that have violated these laws and gone out and get Gentile women. And then on top of that, you know, a very unattractive Gentile. And why am I putting the emphasis on attractiveness? Because the Most High says, can you read that in the Hebrew right there? Well, I got it in the Hebrew. What's that? 20, verse 11. In the Hebrew, it says, wa ra'ayath, and you see bashabat yaha, among the captives or captivity, ashath, woman, yapath. Beautiful. I'm sure you Israelite women know what yapah is, yapath, because y'all got it in your name. Yapah this, yapah that, yapah asha, yapah sharai, yapah gabara, all right? Yapah batiyah. So yapah may like ugly women, that's their preference, but the Most High is assuming that when you see this woman of a different nation, that she's beautiful. How else will a woman make you want her if she don't look as good as your own women do? Or if she looks less inferior, if she looks inferior than your own women do. You see, so this woman was beautiful. Continue on.
Then thou shalt bring her home.
So you bring her to your house. Go ahead.
To thy house, and she shall shave her head. So she shaves her head.
So she has to bring shame upon herself. Why? Because that's the glory of all the women. But you got one sister like Tanya TKO, and who else? Shaving their hair off. Got a real short haircut. Like, that's cute. This was a shame that was put upon the Gentile women. Who else?
The group John A.
John A. They still doing something? John A. You want to go to Grace Jones too? John A. You got all these women that shaving their hair bald or shaving their hair real short. It's not cute. Stop doing it. The Most High isn't with that. The Gentile women shave their hair off as a mark of shame. The woman's hair is her glory. Read.
And pare her nails.
Pare her nails meaning let her nails grow long. Like the witches in the Disney movies. Let the nails grow long. So long, sharp crow nails, not the crows from the wall, all right, that's protecting the north, but the crows long, sharp fingernails. That is not attractive. Again, these are things that heathen slave women, captives of war did. You understand? This is what they did. So we shouldn't be imitating these things that the women that were slaves and stuff did. We shouldn't be doing those type of things, right? The women didn't do that were regular Israelite women, freeborn, or Israelite captive women, or Israelite servants. They didn't do those types of things. The Gentile women did that. Long nails being worn by women was not a mark of beauty in ancient Israel. So to pare the nails doesn't mean to let it grow. I mean, doesn't mean to shave it off, cut it off. To pare the nails means to let the nails grow. It says, ishata. All right, so you let it be, done. You let it do its own thing. Go ahead.
And she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her.
So she's from China. She didn't put on the Chinese garments. If she's from India, she didn't wrap the sari around her. She took off the Gentile garments. Go ahead.
And shall remain in thy house and bewail
So she's sad. Go ahead.
her father and her mother a full month.
So it says a full month. So the time of it says Yirak Yamayim. So a month of days. All right, so whatever the cycle of the new moon is, then it says another cycle of the new moon when it's over. Everybody understand that? So if she does it on the 5th day of the 6th month, then she's supposed to be finished on the 5th day of the 7th month. Everybody understand that? All right. So she has time to mourn her parents. Go ahead.
And after that thou mayest go in unto her.
So meaning the man, he has relations with the woman, intimate relations. So they consummate and they seal the deal. Go ahead.
And be her husband, and she shall be thy wife.
So it says, Thabawa'ah, you come, al yaha to her, and then it says, la ba'ilath ha. Mimba'il means marriage. It means lordship also. You become the Lord, you become the owner of her also. All right, so that's why a lot of you brothers, man, you can't be no sucker for love tailed nickel. Okay, a lot of y'all, you understand, let the woman lord over you. And again, some of my own family members, oh, she need me to do this to marry me. Oh gosh darn, I'm gonna do it then. She want me to do this, these things, they skip generations sometimes. You might have a generation, your uncles, your fathers, they ain't in the truth, but they may be, I don't never let no woman tell you what to do, Junior. Yeah. And then you got that one cousin, saying, oh man, she at least, when I gave her my check and she went to cash it, she brought Lord over your woman. And if you a woman, that don't want a man to be Lord over you, you might as well be a dyke. Or because you looking for a woman with a penis. A person that got a submissive woman spirit, but you can use them as your boy toy. That's what you want. You don't want no biblical man. Because the word, if you look in the Hebrew, what does it say in the end of the Bible right there? What does it say? She shall what? It says, go into her and be her husband. Ain't that what it say? And in Hebrew, don't say be her husband. It says be her owner. You shall own her. You shall take own. It says la, which means the act of doing. What do you call when you do something? A verb, right? An act of doing something. So you shall make her, or you shall lord over her, is what the word is. Okay, we're looking at the word right here. All right. So you go into the woman, right, and then she, it says wa. I'm sorry, it doesn't say la. It says wa, which means and ba'iltaha. All right, meaning you shall lord over her. So the woman is supposed to be, now I'm not talking about, some type of wicked tyrant. I'm just talking about, a boss, an employer, and an employee. All right? A boss, a supervisor, and an employee, a worker. You can't be both. The man is the boss. And the word here used is ba'al, which means like owner. Ba'al. Okay? Which means owner. So the man becomes the owner of the woman. How does he own her? By putting his mark upon her. How does he put his mark upon her? By going into her. All right, go ahead, keep reading.
And it shall be, if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt let her go whither she will, but thou shalt not sell her at all for money.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt not deal with her as a slave, because thou hast humbled her. If a man have two wives.
If a man have what?
Two wives.
Okay. And the word there for if is the same word how the verse 10 starts out when it says, what's the verse 10 say? What's the verse 10 start out? What's the first word?
When.
When. So when and if the same word. So this is a condition that can happen and that does happen. So when or if there be a man, Shatiyah, two Nashim, he has two wives. Everybody understand that? He has two wives. So if you are one of two wives, there's nothing wicked, unrighteous, or shameful about that. If you a man that has more than one wife, there's nothing wicked, shameful, or unlawful about that. If you are a child that's born to a man with more than one wife, there's nothing wicked, unlawful, or shameful about that. Okay? It's a righteous option. You understand? So if a man have two wives, read.
The one beloved.
The one beloved. So the woman is beloved of him. Go ahead.
The other hated.
So the other is hated. Now you may say, oh, well, the man hates the woman. He may hate this other woman. And those are emotions and feelings that we have to work out. Meaning that even if both women are at two extremes, if both women are at two extremes of how the man feels about them, we still have regulations. We still have rules that we have to follow. You understand? So your emotion, how you feel about something, does not dictate how the Torah is applied. Everybody understand that? The Torah is the Torah, man. It doesn't matter if you think, oh, I think I'm in love with my you a man talking about you think and you feel that you in love with another man. You think you feel like you having certain kind of feelings, emotions and thoughts. Or you a woman, oh, I got emotions and thoughts and feelings about these women. It doesn't matter. Your feelings and your thoughts got to come into subjection to the word of Yahweh. And you got to cast down every wicked, you got to pull down, cast down, whatever, lower every wicked thought and imagination that's trying to exalt itself and lift itself up above the knowledge of Yahweh that we have in the scriptures. Now, black Christian women love using that scriptures, casting down every thought and imagination that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. But when they go against the knowledge of God, dealing with polygyny, that scripture don't apply to that. No. Well, what is God's knowledge about monogamy? He did it in the beginning, and it was an option for the man. But he never prohibited. As a matter of fact, we see a law here where he's telling you exactly what to do when there's more than one woman involved in a situation. So let's continue reading. Zayatan.
For you verse.
Verse 15.
Go ahead.
And they have borne him children.
So both women have given him children. Read.
Both the beloved and the hated.
The beloved woman and the hated woman. Go ahead.
And if the firstborn son be hers that was hated.
So the firstborn son, the man hates that woman. He got hatred for her. But she has his firstborn son. Okay, go ahead.
Then it shall be in that day he causeth his sons to inherit that which he hath that which he hath.
So now he's giving his sons his possessions. He's dividing his estate now. Go ahead.
That he may not make the son of the beloved the firstborn before the son of the hated, who is the firstborn.
Everybody understand that? All right, explain it real quick. You understand it?
So, even if he hates the woman that has the firstborn child, whoever has the firstborn child is the one that's supposed to get the inheritance and stuff.
Whoever has the firstborn child,
Well, the firstborn child of whoever's hated or loved, it doesn't matter.
what does matter?
Who was firstborn.
That's all that matters. So sometimes you got to skip through all the interference with problems. Heal people of certain ailments, perhaps. None of that matters when he starts talking about you unlocking chakras and you setting up altars for the ancestors and spirits coming back of dead people coming back, occupying the bodies of children. None of that matters. None of that matters. You see that? So it's a question of left and right and wrong. It doesn't matter what the benefit and the good is about it. What matters is if it's right, if it's wrong. You may see a beautiful woman. Oh, this woman is a beautiful woman, and she helped me with everything, and she listens to me, and we get along perfectly good. Oh, but she's married to somebody else. She's off limits.
Okay.
She's private property, hands off, she belongs to him. Private property, hands off, she belongs to me. You can't deal with her at all, period. That's another man's woman. So learn how to skip through all the interference when you're coming into deciding right and wrong. Skip through the interference. Skip through the interference. In other words, you may have somebody that committed a high crime. And the penalty for a high crime, may be a harsh penalty. But you have to make sure that penalty gets carried out, no matter who that person is. No matter who it is, you got to make sure the penalty gets carried out. So skip through the interference. It doesn't matter if you love the woman or you hate the woman. Whatever son is the firstborn, that's the one that is supposed to be inheriting. Now, if the firstborn son says, you know what, I'm not going to serve Yahweh, I'm going to go and serve Chemosh. I'm going to go and serve the god of the Chinese. Okay, I'm going to go into the Taoist system. I'm going to engage in ancestor worship. I'm going to become the biggest voodoo priest that Haiti has ever seen. Now you got to come before, judges and see how that would have to work out. Because now it's not the woman herself that's the issue. The issue is the wicked son. Go ahead.
But he shall acknowledge the firstborn, the son of the hated, by giving him a double portion of all that he hath, for he is the first fruits of his strength. The right of the firstborn is his. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son.
So a man has a son that's stubborn and rebellious, wayward, going away from what he learned, going away from the right way. And rebellious. Rebellious means you're giving orders. All right? Rebellious and stubborn. So now what the Most High is saying, man, is that you got a son that's wicked as hell. Stubborn and rebellious. And what else?
That would not hearken to the voice of his father.
He won't listen to what his father is telling him to do. Go ahead.
Or the voice of his mother.
Or the voice of his mother. So he will not listen to them. Go ahead.
And though they chasten him.
So chasten. Now we realized this with a study of the 7 pillars of wisdom, and y'all haven't done that yet. I don't think. The Yashar. It says Yasar. Yasar means like upright, but it's also translated as chastise or instruction. But in the slang, we would say something like tell somebody, show somebody what time it is, or doing something the easy way or the hard way, whichever one you choose. So it's a flexibility in how this discipline is coming. It can come through instruction. Hey, don't do X, Y, Z. Because look at it. You got the hand, sar. Hand, support, and head. So I'm either put my hand on support and hit you upside your head, or I'm going to put my hand on support and show you, look, put the stuff in your head. Look, las ovejas perdidas. You see? Basically, I got that support is in my hand. So I'm upright in what I'm trying to do to get this information to your head, whether we do it the easy way or the hard way. But obviously, it says what? It says that son does not, it says Shemai Bakwawal Abayowa Wa Bakwawal Amawa. All right? So that son, it says Ayan Nawa. So his eyes do not listen. All right? So he doesn't, so there's no, not his eyes, but not Iyan, but Ayan, meaning there is none. So there's no Shema, there's no listening in the voice of his father, the voice of his mother, and they discipline him. So listen, they don't have any success when they discipline him also. They discipline him, they, give him discipline, and it's probably some type of physical, corporal discipline on his backside that they give him. He don't want to listen, so what happens?
Will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him. So they take him. They take that boy, go ahead. And bring him out unto the elders of his city. So where can he run to? Because any place he ran to, the elders are going to bring him back. So in other words, what country is big in the news right now? What country everybody talking about? Afghanistan. So let's say the boy's in Afghanistan, and he says, I don't care what your father has said. Girl, I'm going to take you and be my wife anyway, and we're going to move to this part of Afghanistan. What's going to happen to that boy? Most likely. Probably get killed. Probably get killed. So there's no place you can run from the Afghani jurisdiction in Afghanistan.
No place.
And that's the problem we have in Yasha Allah right now. You got everybody else having different things about different doctrines, so there's no uniform definition of what is sin. Everybody's saying something else is sin. Well, eating pork is shrimp. No, eating cow is shrimp. No, Sunday worship is a sin. No, Saturday worship is a sin. There's no uniform understanding of the Torah, of the laws of the Most High. So you don't have that understanding, people can what? Bounce and hop from place to place. And then have the nerve to say, okay, it don't matter what you believe, let's come together and we do our own thing together. You see? So now we have to be very, very careful about who we join ourselves to as men of the Most High. Because every friend ain't a friend. Every servant of the Most High ain't serving the Most High. They are not all Israel, which are of Israel. Some have crept in unawares to subvert the gospel, to subvert the Torah, to subvert the mitzvot of Hashem Yahweh. Right? So we have to be very careful. You understand? We have to be very careful on who we're dealing with. So now this young man, or this man, this son doesn't want to obey and respect his parents. So they bring him to the gates, they bring him to the leadership of that people. Because a lot of times courts were held at the gates of the city, at the opening areas of the city. So they bring him to the court. So he had to stand trial for what he's been accused of by his parents. Okay, read. And unto the gate of his place, and they shall say unto the elders of his city, this our son is stubborn. He's wayward. He don't want to go the right way. Go ahead. And rebellious. He don't listen, obey what he said to do.
He doth not hearken
So he does not hearken, go ahead.
to our voice.
Mm-hmm.
He is a glutton and a drunkard.
So drunkard. So he loves to overindulge and consume, and to alter his realities. He doesn't like to be sober minded, and he overdoes the things that he can engage in. All right. Go ahead.
And all the men of the city shall stone him with stones,
Mm-hmm.
that he die. So shalt thou put away the evil from the midst of thee, and all shall hear and fear.
So when they have consequences, they hear and fear. So that's showing you that you have to have a community of people that are living in the same area, that are under the same set of laws. Because now if they say, well, you know what, I don't want to do that no more. You can't kill that person now. You know, unless you catch them in the act of doing something wicked that's going to be harmful and detrimental to somebody else, and then you kill that person. All right? That's in every law in every country. But going back to someone kill that person, you know, that might not be as lawful in every country. But we do know that if that person is in your community, you got this son like this, actual community that are pretty self-sufficient. That are pretty self-sufficient. All right. So this is what has to be done. That son that's rebellious has to die. Which means what? Meaning the Most High will go through extremes to make sure that structure and order, respect is maintained within the family unit. Within the family unit. So that's what the principle of the matter is, that honor your mother and your father. Respect your mother and your father. Obey your mother and your father. All right. Because there's certain things where once you get to a certain age, you still got to obey and respect your mother and your father, especially your father. And you have to just be like, you know what? My father ain't going to tell me, you know, nothing that's wrong. And if you tell me something that's wrong, you're not obligated to obey it. Wrong according to the Torah, not wrong according to how you feel and think. You know? Wrong according to the Torah. Even it goes from telling you to do something to counseling you to do something. Well, I don't think you should, you know, do this. And you're like, well, you know, I'm gonna do that. You know. But you have to do everything in order. And that child has to understand that there's a creator above them, and that they're gonna have to give account to him. All right. All right, so next reader. All right, go ahead. Chapter 21, verse 22 through chapter 22, verse 7. So 22 through 7.
And if a man have committed a sin worthy of death, and he be to be put to death, and thou hang him on a tree, his body shall not remain all night upon the tree, but thou shalt anywise bury him that day. For he that is hanged is accursed of on high. That the land be not defiled, which Yahweh that high giveth thee for an inheritance. Kashra bar Yahweh.
Kashra bar Yahweh.
Now shall not shemai.
Now shall not shemai.
All that Yahweh said.
All that Yahweh said.
What we do in here.
What we do in here.
So the Most High is showing that, you know, even when you hang somebody, man, you don't just leave their body out there. You bury them. You take their body off of the tree when you hang them. And that sure is not what the white man did to us, is it?
No.
He would hang us, burn our bodies, and then leave us up there. You know? Or something, he would burn our bodies, put out the flames, and then hang us then after we were dead, so everybody could see. So these are things that we see America doing the exact opposite. Everything you read in this Bible, America does the opposite and teaches the opposite unless you do the opposite. Everything. So America is the highest, one of the main enemies of the Most High Yahweh, because it's Esau the children of Edom, who control what America does, what the world does. And he is the twin brother of Jacob, which is us, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Hispanics, Native Americans in North, Central, South America, and Caribbean, primarily. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not see thy brother's ox or his sheep go astray, and hide thyself from them. And thou shalt in any case bring them again unto thy brother. And if thy brother be not nigh unto thee, or if thou know him not, then thou shalt bring it unto thine own house, and it shall be with thee unto thy brother's sheep, and thou shalt do with all lost thing of thy brothers.
So whatever your brother loses, you're supposed to give it back to him. You know, so anybody that loses something is supposed to get it back. An ox, clothing, whatever you lose is supposed to be held by someone until you come to claim it. Not just, oh, I found this right here. I found this gold coin. Heads, I give it back. Tails, I keep it. Tails, oh, guess you lost your gold coin. Whoever it belongs to. Nah, you're supposed to give it back. All right. Especially if you did. Now we have a law also about if you have a piece of a possession and you know who it is, who it belongs to, you're supposed to give it back. All right. Go ahead.
And with all lost things of thy brothers, which ye have lost, and thou hast found, shalt thou do likewise.
Mm-hmm.
Thou mayest not hide thyself, and thou shalt not see.
When it say hide yourself, that means that you shall not act like you don't know who his stuff and where it is. Right, go ahead.
Thou shalt not see thy brother's ass or his ox fall down by the way, and hide thyself from them. Thou shalt surely help him to lift them up again. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man.
Okay, let's stop right there. Now, if you see somebody with a flat tire, especially if that person is your brother, you should stop and help them. There was a law, what was that, Germany, right? If you saw somebody on the Autobahn or something, and they had had car problems, you would go to jail if the police saw you go past that person without trying to help that person. I don't want to say go to jail, but it was a criminal, it was an offense. It was against the law, you understand? So you see somebody on the side of the road, flat tire, smoke coming out of their vehicle, the car's just stopped, the hood is up. You should stop to help that person. With the ox, you have to stop to help that person, all right? If you see their ox or their ass fall down, you have to help get that ox or that animal up off the ground. When it says that a woman should not wear that which pertains to a man, what that's talking about is that the woman's thighs, the woman's calf and lower legs should not be exposed. They should not be exposed, right? They should be down. Whether she's sitting or standing, her garment should be covering her legs. Why do I say that? Because the warrior of a garment, the garment of a warrior's garment, and his word for man in the Hebrew says gabar. So a woman should not wear that which pertains to a gabar, which you can go into the metaphors and all of that about a breastplate or a shield or a sword, but he's not going to be wearing none of that with a garment that comes all the way down to his ankle, because he can't move as fast, can't kick, can't run, can't climb without that stuff his garment getting caught up in his clothes, or getting caught up in his foot or the tree or whatever he's climbing. So that means that the woman is not supposed to wear clothing that is that is above her, that is the warrior length. So it has to be longer and it has to be looser. Okay, it has to be longer and looser. It can't be like a warrior's garment. A warrior's garment was above at his knees or could be the middle of his thighs. So a woman's not supposed to be exposing that part of her body, and she's not supposed to be wearing stuff that shows that part of her body. Because even if the woman has on leggings or pants or whatever, you can still see all the shape of her thighs and her calf and her knees. It's not about a t-shirt either. As long as she have a t-shirt covering her butt. It's not about her covering her butt. It's about her thighs and her legs being covered. Because the warriors' thighs and legs were uncovered most of the time when they went to war. Look at the ancient archaeology of the Israelites going to war, of Africans going to war, of Chinese, well, maybe not the Chinese, but they could fight anything. Of ancient Chinese going to war, ancient Hindus going to war. Check out Bahubali. Check out Bahubali. They have on long tunics, long tunics in the palaces and stuff. Then when they go to war, they have on pants, or they have on pants with a tunic over top of it. So these are things that we understand from looking at the cultures of other nations. But when it says the woman should not wear that which pertains to a man, it's talking about the woman cannot wear, it's supposed to wear long tunics, long dresses, not short tunics or short dress. Get that from the middle of the floor. Not short tunics, short dresses. All right? It's supposed to be long. All right? It's supposed to be long. So the warrior's garment was short. So she's not supposed to be wearing short garment. Have nothing to do with a sword, all right, with a breastplate or nothing like that. I mean, because what woman's gonna try to put on a man's breastplate anyway? That's gonna be, everything gonna be all squashed and sensitive, and slightest bump could be painful to her, right? You know what I'm saying? So she didn't really go to war like that. It's not talking about a sports bra or nothing like that. It's getting into the specific raiment, particularly. Now from that raiment, you can build upon the other accessories of the man that's going to war, all right? But the primary aspect that we need to be concerned with right now is that dress that she's wearing, not being like the warrior's garment. Okay, go ahead.
Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment.
So a man cannot put on a woman's garment. It says, Kaya Gabar al Asha wala la yalabash Gabar. All right. Shamalath Asha. So that man again is that warrior's garment. So the warrior is not supposed to be wearing garment like the woman. That strong man is what it's talking about again. So now you get into a situation when you're going to war and you disguise and dress yourself like a woman. And we have ceremonies that our Garifuna brothers and sisters do, and that our Zebulon, Issachar brothers do in Guerrero and Oaxaca, where they have ceremonies and parades and stuff where the men dress like women. Oh, because they dress like women to food and enemy. Now you ain't supposed to do that. You're supposed to do that. Right. Go ahead. So you're not supposed, again, going into it, but these principles apply to men in general, women in general also. When it comes to something where you know that there's a divide between the men and the women. So the warrior is not supposed to be out there trying to be on the battlefield with a garment or a long garment or clothing or accessories that the woman would be wearing. Right, go ahead.
For all that do so are abomination unto Yahweh thy Elohim.
So a woman walking around with anything that's exposing her thighs and legs, whether it's pants as an outer garment or whether it's a skirt, and she has on no pants or pantyhose or tights or no pantyhose and tights up under it. If it's exposed, then she's an abomination. If she just has on pants by themselves and a t-shirt covering her butt, the thighs and below the knee is still exposed, it's an abomination. If a man's walking around with a tunic that looks like is a woman's garment, he's an abomination. Okay?
If a bird's nest chance to be before thee in the way of any tree or on the ground, whether they be young ones or eggs, and the dam sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, thou shalt not take the dam with the young. But thou shalt in any wise let the dam go, and take the young to thee, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest prolong thy days.
So the Most High say, when you go to get bird to eat or take it to raise it to make more birds and more eggs, you can't take the mother and the young. And when you do that, you know, it's not gonna go good with you. But when you let the woman, the bird mother, keep her babies, and you take some babies from her, you don't take her, or if you take the mother bird and you leave the other birds, you don't mess with them, the Most High say to go well with you. Now go ahead.
When thou buildest a new house, then they'll make a battlement for thy roof.
So the battlement is a protection. Well, you're supposed to stop at verse 7, right?
Yeah, that was the one before. This
All right. So let's stop right there. Was it over too fast for you, man? Over too fast for you?
All right,
Thou shalt not steal the reader's verses.
third portion.
Parashah, I'm a Parazah, but God bless Allah.
Rock.
Yeah, Barak Kam Yahweh Bashem Yahushai.
Your black hair, how much you have shot.
So when you walk outside, keep cutting in front of us.
Get up.
Turn this way. Turn this way. And I walk right here.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, Matid Yahu. Ma'ika Allah, no cap, Shalom, Shalom. Okay. Kwanayam, Shemayam. Okay, so continuing on, these are the laws of the Most High, and in these laws, you can see the principle that applies to wisdom also. So chapter 20, chapter 22, verse 8 through 23:7. Okay?
When thou buildest a new house, then shalt thou make a battlement for thy roof, that thou bring not blood upon thine house, if any man fall from thence. Thou shalt not sow thy vineyard with diverse seeds, lest the fruit of thy seed which thou hast sown and the fruit of thy vineyard be defiled. Thou shalt not plow with an ox and an ass together.
So you have to have protective measures around your property so people can't easily get harmed, to keep people safe when it comes to your property. Okay? You can't hybrid seeds. You can't do hybrid seeds when you planting your crops. Hybrid fruit and vegetables, we're not supposed to be planting. We shouldn't be eating them. Okay? The ox is a stronger animal with longer endurance. And the donkey is a weaker animal that doesn't have the endurance of the ox. So you shouldn't be putting undue workloads on those two animals when you're working together. Okay? But everything can be fair, but it can't be equal. There's no such thing as equality in society. There's fairness, but it's not equality. All right? Everything is, even in nature, things are not equal. Okay, so so you should have them both being in their same work area, doing what they can do, their workload. So you may function in the world, you may be equivalent to an ox. I may be equivalent to a donkey. We're not gonna eat the same amount of food, and we're not gonna be doing the same amount of work. When you wanna go from one part of town, and you wanna go two miles, you wanna go a few miles away, you know, you may take the donkey. We need to pull everybody in your whole family, you may take the ox. When you want to plow deep into the ground and you got to turn over a lot of dirt, you may use the ox. When you got a light plow, the blade don't need to go too deep into the ground, you may use the donkey. So all these things have to be taken into consideration, not just, it's not one size fits all for anything in life. Okay, go ahead.
Thou shalt not wear a garment of diverse sorts, as of woolen and linen
So
together.
then we're going to diverse sorts. That as of is not there. It says the garment of diverse sorts, wool and linen together. That's the only prohibition. The prohibition is not wool and silk, wool and cotton, wool and polyester, okay? It's not cotton and linen, all right? Silk and linen, all right? It's wool and linen. Those are the only prohibitions of the fibers you can't mix together for your garment, okay? I'm not talking about this is silk, I mean, this is wool, this is linen. No, it's talking about this is comprised of fibers that are wool and linen. The filaments have been, you know, rolled together to make the thread to make this. So that's what it's talking about. It's not talking about this is wool and this is a linen sleeve. It's not talking about that. It's talking about you blending the fibers together to make one piece of fabric that's mixed with wool and linen together. That's what we cannot do. And that's the only prohibition. Go ahead.
Thou shalt make thee fringes upon the four quarters of thy vesture, wherewith thou coverest thyself.
So the fringes in the Hebrew right here is gadolim or gadolium, all right? It's gadolium, which means gadol, as we know, means long, okay? So it says gadolim. So we can't wear clothing unless it has the gadolium, the long strings on the four corners, or it can also have the fringes around the edge with the blue ribbon around it. Not purple, not lavender, not purple, not lavender, not violet. Blue. Everybody knows what blue is. Everybody knows what blue is. All right, go ahead.
If any man take a wife, and go in unto her, and hate her, and give occasion of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid.
Meaning the man married a woman and found out she wasn't a virgin. So there was an assumption, he shouldn't have seen, but there was an assumption that the woman was a virgin. Go ahead.
Then the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hateth her. And lo, he hath given occasion of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity.
So the proof of the daughter's virginity was usually the cloth that had blood on it after the woman laid with the man for the first time. So the woman was keeping herself until she got married. She wasn't keeping herself until her 8th grade dance, or until her high school prom, or until her first year of college. She was keeping herself until she had she got married. Okay, go ahead.
And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city.
The cloth that has the blood on it. Go ahead.
And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him.
So the man would get beat. Go ahead.
And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver.
So he had to pay a fine to the woman's father that he married for saying his daughter was what? Go ahead.
And give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Yasha'Allah, and she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones, that she die, because she hath wrought folly in Yasha'Allah.
It was considered to be folly when this woman was not a virgin when she married that man, and they thought she was. That's how important and valuable virginity was. So a lot of people, I saw something on Facebook, a brother said a woman loses value when she get a man. And somebody said, well, no, she doesn't. Well, the Bible says so. If she wasn't a virgin when you married her and she put herself as a virgin, she got killed. So surely she's not a virgin, and she got another human being that she's supposed to be provided for. Two questions. Where's the baby's father, and where's the woman's father? How come another man got to come from the outside to take care of what another man created? The baby should be with the father or the woman's father in a household with men. This is our culture. And it's this really post-slavery mentality that acts like what we're doing with all these single mothers, single fathers. Women say mainly single mothers, that's the norm. It's not the norm. There's a vast difference, not saying that every boy that's raised by their father is perfect, but statistically speaking, he has a greater success, get a greater chance at success in different areas, particularly of staying out of the criminal justice so-called system. Statistically speaking, of being gainfully employed, statistically speaking, of not being, engaging in a whole bunch of violent type crimes, statistically speaking. When the male figures in, because that respect for male authority is instilled. And now the child might be like, well, I'm gonna go get his way. They might go the wicked way. I'm gonna go get as far away from the way that I was taught as I can. And now he belongs to Hashatan. You see? But here we see, what verse was that again?
Verse 21.
But here we see that this woman played the whore. She wrought folly in Israel to what?
To play the whore in her father's house.
So she was hoeing in her father's house. She played the whore in her father's house, is what it says. She played the whore in her father's house. I mean, she was having sex with a man, and the man didn't become her husband, and her father didn't know about it. It was a secret. Or maybe the father knew. Doesn't even say. It says she did something folly in Israel to play the whore. Okay? So she did folly in Israel to play the whore. And then the man got punished. Why? Because he brought up an evil name of the virgin in Israel. Brought an evil name. But then this woman also is seen as doing evil. Read the rest of it.
So shalt thou put away evil from among you.
So evil, whore, and folly are the three words that we're given. For the man, the one word we see is an evil name. So the woman, it says she's done evil, wrought folly, and played the whore. And this is the mentality that's pervading, has inundated our community. You can play the whore. You can be gay. You can be a man that loves have sex with other men, taking or giving. You could be a woman that has sex and married with other women, and it just becomes so mainstream, as it was in the days of Noah.
So shall it be now.
So the way that people are acting now is the same way they were acting in the ancient world. And now you're saying who's who? Who's really, who's really a fudge packer? Who's really a carpet muncher? Who's really a witch and a warlock that want to pray to the ancestors? Dead people can't hear your prayers to answer you. What did Samuel tell Saul? Saul, I can't do nothing for you, man.
Okay.
I can't do nothing for you. So if a prophet of the Most High is telling the king of Israel, bro, I can't do nothing for you. You think that your grandfather that grew up shucking peas and peanuts on a plantation, great-grandfather, in Arkansas, you think that he can help you? You think you die, you become this all-powerful spiritual being? There's no judgment? You see? This whole ancestor thing is a joke. The whole ancestor thing is a joke. Because there any power, you would know it. And then this dude, you eating your ancestors. This dude said, because they die, and then they go back to the earth, and then you're eating your ancestors. I'm like, man, my ancestors is in, North Carolina and Alabama, and you know what I'm saying? I'm not eating off no graveyards, bro. I'm not eating no gardens or no farms that used to be cemeteries. You ain't eating no ancestors. I'm like, but this is the mindset that these witches have now. These warlocks and wizards in Israel. Well, want to be warlock and wizard because they got no power.
None.
They just serving Satan for nothing. Got no power. So anyway, this man said that the woman was not a virgin and she was a virgin. He got beat. The woman's acting like she was a virgin. They found out she wasn't. She kicked the bucket. She got snuffed out. She got killed. So here's the accuser of the crime, or beat him and make him pay 100 shekels of silver. But here's the actual woman that's not a virgin when she got married and presented herself as a virgin. She gets killed. So tell me that the Most High doesn't value the woman that's the virgin and that marries the man and stays with that man. Go ahead. Does he value the whore? He don't value the whore. So that's why you can't, you can marry a woman once she has reformed from being a whore. But you should not marry a whore because that's not a marriage. That's just high-level fornication. Go ahead.
If a man be found lying,
Because that's the only thing that matters. Go ahead.
then they shall both of them die.
So both of them got killed. Go ahead.
Both the man that lay with the woman and the woman.
The woman that has the man. Go ahead.
So shalt thou put away evil from Yasha'Allah.
It's evil to lay with a woman that has a man. Read.
If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed to an husband.
So a woman is engaged. A damsel as a virgin, okay? A damsel that is a virgin is a Chaya Yahaya Na'ir Batwala. So a young woman who is a virgin. Go ahead.
And the man find her in the city.
And the man find her inside the city. Go ahead.
And lie with her.
So that man has sex with that woman. Go ahead.
Then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city.
So both of them got to come to judgment. Why?
And ye shall stone them with stones.
You kill both of them. Why do you kill the man and the woman? What if the woman was a rape victim? Read.
That they die.
Mhm.
The damsel, because she cried not.
She got killed not because she got raped, but because she cried out. Because she didn't cry out. That's cry out. So it's the victim. The woman was having voluntary sex with a man. And if it wasn't voluntary sex in the city. Go ahead.
And the man,
How'd you get along with him? Go ahead.
because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife.
The man have made his neighbor's wife lay with him. Go ahead.
So thou shalt put away evil from among you.
So both of them got destroyed because it was consensual. They both said they wanted to have sex. Read.
But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field,
So the woman and the man are in the field. Go ahead. She's engaged. Read.
and the man force her,
So the man force her. The man have a strong hold of her. So he rape her. Go ahead.
and lie with her,
Uh-huh.
then the man only that lay with her shall die.
So the man shall die. Go ahead.
But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing,
Because he forced her and he raped her, and there was nobody to listen to her when she screamed out. Read.
there is in the damsel no sin worthy of death.
Uh-huh.
For as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him,
Mhm.
even so was this matter.
Meaning what? Meaning she's a victim, and you can't blame her. Read.
For he found her in the field,
Uh-huh.
and the betrothed damsel cried,
Right.
and there was none to save her.
Uh-huh.
If a man find a damsel that is a virgin,
Uh-huh.
which is not betrothed,
A man found a woman that's single. Go ahead.
and lay hold on her,
So he takes the woman. Go ahead.
and lie with her,
And has sex with her. Go ahead.
and they be found,
So they find out, meaning that, the woman is not a virgin no more. Go ahead.
then
Go ahead.
the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of
So he
silver,
has to get 50 shekels of silver that had sex with the woman. Go ahead.
and she shall be his wife.
She becomes that man's wife. Read.
Because he hath humbled her, he may not put her away
She can never get divorced now. Go ahead.
all his days.
Mm-hmm.
A man shall not take his father's wife,
So a man that's supposed to be trying to have sex with his father's woman. Go ahead.
nor discover his father's skirt.
Like Reuben did. Read. Not read, but
Parashah Bar Yahweh,
Kalashra Bar Yahweh.
Nai Shalom Nashemai.
Nashawa Nashemai.
All they Yahweh said,
All they have was said.
what we doing here?
What we doing here?
All right, go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
He that is wounded in the stomach,
Wounded in the stomach, meaning he got his testes, his balls don't function right. His balls are crushed. His balls got a problem. Maybe missing one ball. Go ahead.
or hath his privy member cut off,
Or he don't have no private parts. Go ahead.
shall not enter into the congregation of Yahweh.
The congregation talking about into the tabernacle. Go ahead.
A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of Yahweh.
A bastard is a child that's born of unlawful sexual union. That's what a bastard is. A bastard child is born from adultery. A child is born from incest. You understand? A child is born from really incest and what is it? It's incest, right?
Yeah. Oh, and
Incest and adultery.
adultery.
Not fornication. Fornication does not make somebody a bastard. Or mamzar. Mamzar. Right? Mamzar. Meaning that the water of the woman, and the water of the man, came together, and the zah is a weapon, and the ra'ash means a head, meaning that their heads need to be chopped off for what they did. So this is something that the Bible has to tell you and define what a mamzar is. Not you saying a white mother and a black father is a mamzar. All right. I mean, a lot of y'all want to talk about the brother Sakari from the brother Alazar from Sakari. Now the brother may be a lot of things, but a bastard or mamzar is not one of them. He's a Levite, all right, from whose ancestry goes to the island of Haiti. He's a Levite of the tribe of Levi. No matter what his mother could have been Levite, Judite, Haitian, Chinese, Japanese, white, all right, Hamite, Australian. His mother could be anything. Long as he's born of an Israelite man, and his mother was not a close blood relative to that man, meaning his aunt or his uncle or his sister, and she was not dealing in a righteous marital relationship with another man, he could never be a mamzar. He's Israelite through and through. He's Israelite through and through. All right? Because when it talks about the bastard, it talks about 10 generations and born in him. So now you're talking about, you mean telling me that nobody 10 generations back in your family is a result of a white man and a black woman, or a black man and a white woman coming together? Or a nation outside of Israel coming together? Really? That's what you're trying to tell me? So if you in England, you in Jamaica, you mean to tell me all these white people, nobody ever think to look upon any of your ancestors to touch them for any sexual pleasure, and no children was born of that? But that's very low probability.
Really?
My point is that, that happened to a lot of our people in captivity. You understand? So that's what it is. But these people that are born in these unions of our people, that's born of a Haitian father, Judite father, any kind of woman that is not an aunt, that is not an aunt or a sister or a grandmother or a mother, that's what incest is. That's what creates a mamzar. All right, go ahead. So Alazar is not no dang on. He's a lot of things, but he ain't no mamzar. That's one thing he ain't.
Okay.
All right, he may be a lot of things, good or bad, but mamzar is not one of them. Okay.
Even to his 10th generation shall we not enter into the congregation of Yahweh.
And it's talking about entering into the congregation of the Most High, dealing with the tabernacle. Read.
An Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of Yahweh.
Ammon is Japan, Moab is China. Read.
Even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of Yahweh forever.
So you got to count their generations. They may live amongst the Israelites, but they can't go into the place of worship. They can't go in, not the place of worship. They can't go into the temple or the tabernacle, but they did go into the synagogues. They didn't go into the temple or the tabernacle. Go ahead.
Because they met you not with bread and with water in the way, when ye came forth out of Egypt, and because they hired against thee Balaam the son of Beor of Pethor of Mesopotamia to curse thee.
Now that was Moab did that, but Ammon and Moab is being judged together because they're rocking together. That's why people get Chinese and Japanese mixed up. Sometimes Chinese and Filipino mixed up. So, sometimes, even though most of the Filipinos are Moab, but Japan is a whole nother nation, which is Ammon, and then Chinese and Southeast Asians, that's Moab. But they have the same father, which is Lot. Okay?
Nevertheless, Yahweh the Elohim would not hearken unto Balaam, but Yahweh the Elohim turned the curse into a blessing unto thee, because Yahweh the Elohim loved thee.
He loved us.
Thou shalt not seek their peace nor their prosperity all thy days forever.
So we're not supposed to be trying to have some type of agreement with Moab and Ammon at all, period. So the Most High, Yahweh, is saying. Okay. So that's the end of your section. All right.
Full portion.
I know. I'm just trying to see about next reader. We wait for the next reader. Chapter 23, verse 8 through 24. Next reader.
I didn't read verse 7.
I thought you just read 7. Okay, my bad. Yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor.
Okay, good.
Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou art a stranger in his land.
Now they spread differently in this. In KJV. So when you look at this word, okay. When you look at chapter 22, verse 5, it says, Dawa'ibath, which is abomination. All right. Now, when you look in chapter 23, verse 8. Is that verse 8 in there?
Yeah. You should not.
It says la'ah ta'aib. So the same word. So abhor is abominable, which means that we should not hold Edomites in an abominable state, condition, or position in our mind, heart, and spirit. Why did the Most High say that? Because the Most High says what? He says he is your brother. Meaning what? At some point, some of these low-level Edomites, man, some of these low-level Edomites got nothing to do with what they're doing up here. See, an abomination is something that can never be made fixed, never be made whole. So everybody of the house of Esau is going to die. But there's some Edomites that's not of the house of Esau. Okay, some of them not of the house of Esau. What's wrong with you? What is it on? Is it on the way? The lights down. Okay, so the Bible says don't abhor, don't hold as an abomination an Edomite. That's what it says. And it means what it says. Keep going. Don't abhor an Edomite. Go ahead.
For he is thy brother.
He's your brother. Go ahead. It doesn't say Aram. It doesn't say the Aramia or the Syrians. It says Edomite in all of the ancient texts. Go ahead.
Thou shalt abhor an Egyptian.
It says don't abhor an Egyptian, which is the Mizraimites. Go ahead.
Because thou art a stranger in his land.
You are a stranger in his land. So, allow them room to improve and to be a part of your community if they prove themselves to be so. Because that's what the word says. Don't hold them as abominations. An abomination cannot be made into anything other than an abomination. But something that's tama'ah can become tahar. Okay? I keep going. Our next reader. Chapter verse 8.
Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite.
See, he's reading from the Hebrew set up Bible. Read that again. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite.
So don't hold an Edomite as an abomination that can never be made clean. That's what the Edomite abomination is. Read.
For he is thy brother.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land.
Go ahead.
The children of the third generation that are born unto them
Of the Egyptian and of the Edomite, what?
may enter into the assembly of Yahweh.
So they were able to come into the assembly, into the congregation of Yahweh, which was the tabernacle or the temple. Read.
And thou goest forth in camp against thine enemies,
Mm-hmm.
and thou shalt keep thee from every evil thing.
Which means all the idols and statues and religious items that they use to worship. Go ahead.
If there be among you any man that is not clean by reason of that which chanceth him by night,
Which means a nocturnal emission. So the man has some kind of a wet dream. Go ahead.
then shall he go abhorred out of the camp, abroad out of the camp, and he shall not come within the camp.
So if he has a nocturnal emission, meaning semen leaves his body, he has to go outside the camp. He can't stay inside the camp because he's now tama'ah. He's unclean. Go ahead.
But it shall be when evening cometh,
Which means that now the time of sunset is coming around. Okay?
he shall bathe himself in water,
Which is Leviticus chapter 15. Go ahead.
and when the sun is down, he may come within the camp.
So
Thou,
just until sunset. Go ahead.
thou shalt have a place also without the camp, whither thou shalt go forth abroad.
Which means a latrine to use the bathroom. Outside of your military camp. All right? Outside your military camp. All right? Go ahead.
And thou shalt have a paddle among thy weapons,
Mhm.
and it shall be when thou sittest down abroad, thou shalt dig therewith, and shalt turn back and cover that which cometh from thee.
So when you go number 1 or 2, you cover it up. All right? When you went like in a wilderness situation or a war situation, you made like a latrine to go use the bathroom. All right? So these are kind of just principles of war. Go ahead.
For Yahweh thy Elohim walketh in the midst of thy camp.
So the war camp was a holy area. Go ahead.
To deliver thee and to give up thine enemies before thee. Therefore shall thy camp be holy, that he see no unseemly thing in thee, and turn away from thee.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not deliver unto his master a bondman that is escaped from his master unto thee.
So when somebody ran away from slavery in ancient Israel, you couldn't give that slave back to their master. But the Europeans, like I said before, they've broken all of these laws in here. Read.
He shall dwell with thee in the midst of thee, in the place which he shall choose within one of thy gates.
So he ran from his master. Now you got to make sure he has some place to live at. Read.
Where it liketh him best, thou shalt not wrong him.
So you can't oppress him. Go ahead.
There shall be no harlot of the daughters of Yashala.
This harlot is Quadshah in the Hebrew, which is the same letters for Kodash. So these are people that just engaged in fornication just because. Engaged in fornications as part of sexual rituals to worship other gods. Read.
Neither shall there be a sodomite of the sons of Yashala.
And that word sodomite is addressing more of, in the Hebrew it says Quadshah, which is a man that's devoted himself to fornication in the service and worship of different gods and goddesses. So it's basically talking about just wanton sexual promiscuity to appease and satisfy entities, spirits, other than Yahweh. All right, go ahead.
Thou shalt not bring the hire of a harlot, or the price of a dog unto thy house.
So whatever the one for prostitution, or whatever work you was doing for a dog, i.e. hunting, that money was supposed to have nothing to do with the temple. Now some people claim that this is associated with the Quadshah and the Quadshah in the above verse. Go ahead.
Into the house of Yahweh the Elohim, for any vow, for even both these are an abomination unto Yahweh the Elohim. Thou shalt not lend upon interest to thy brother, interest of money, interest of victuals, interest of anything that is lent upon interest.
So when you were dealing with basic situations, you couldn't give somebody something and expect more than you gave back. Go ahead.
Unto a foreigner thou mayest lend upon interest.
So to a Gentile you could charge interest. Go ahead.
But unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon interest. that Yahweh, that Elohim may bless thee in all that thou puttest thy hand unto, in the land whither thou goest in to possess it. When thou shalt vow a vow unto Yahweh thy Elohim, thou shalt not be slack to pay it.
So whatever you vow, you got to pay it. Read.
For Yahweh the Elohim will surely require it of thee, and it will be a sin in thee. But if thou shalt forbear to vow, and shall be no sin in thee, that which is gone out of thy lips thou shalt observe and do.
So whatever you said you're going to do, that's your contract. Your word is your bond. Go ahead.
According as thou hast vowed freely unto Yahweh thy Elohim, even that which thou hast promised with thy mouth.
So whatever you say from your mouth you're going to do, you got to do it. Go ahead. That's 24 in that one. Okay, cool. All right, next reader. 24 in the KJV. When thou comest unto thy neighbor's vineyard. I'm sorry, it really supposed to be 25 in the KJV. No, 24 in the KJV and 25 in the Hebrew. And stop at 4:4. 24:4.
When thou comest into thy neighbor's vineyard, then thou mayest eat grapes. Thou mayest eat grapes that fill at thine own pleasure.
So you come into somebody's crops in the field, you can eat what they have planted. You can eat, till you, full. You can eat, just keep on eating, you go in the field and get you some grapes at the vineyard, go ahead.
But thou shalt not put any in thy vessel.
But you can't just, take them away in a container. Go ahead.
When thou comest into the standing corn of thy neighbor, then thou mayest pluck the ears of thine hand.
So it's almost this grain that they would pluck and eat. Go ahead.
But thou shalt not move a sickle unto thy neighbor's standing corn. Kashra Bar-Yahweh,
Kashra Bar-Yahweh,
not Shah, not Shemai.
not Shah, not Shemai.
All Yahweh said,
All Yahweh said,
what we doing here?
what we doing here?
Like chapter 24, verse 1 through 4 is dealing with marriage and divorce. Go ahead.
When a man hath taken a wife and married her,
Mm-hmm.
and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he hath found some uncleanness in her,
So this uncleanness is something to do with something regarding her nakedness, right? That uncleanness is dealing with a matter of nakedness. She could have withheld something from him and not told him something. Go ahead.
then let him write her a bill of divorce
So he divorces her. Go ahead.
and give it in her hand, and send her out of his house.
So that divorce that he gave her was not valid until she left his house. All right, go ahead.
And when she is departed out of his house,
Mm-hmm.
she may go and be another man's wife.
And we know that this doesn't happen now. Because now Yahweh took it back to Genesis chapter 2, when they are one flesh. And he can't divorce that woman. She cannot remarry at all. That when we go into Luke chapter 10. All right? She cannot divorce the man and be like, okay, well, I'm going to divorce him and I'm going to remarry. I'm going to give me another husband. She cannot divorce and get another husband now. All right? Because now, I'm sorry, not Luke, Mark. Because now the Most High has showed us that he wants to take it back to how it was from Genesis through his son Yahweh Shia Mashiach. So now when you divorce somebody, the woman cannot remarry at all. So this right here doesn't even apply to the times we're living in now. Because Yahweh came and said, no, when she divorced, she can't remarry no more. In Mark 10:12, if a woman shall put away her husband and be married to another, she committed adultery. So the woman cannot remarry now. So make sure that you get the choice that, oh, when you marry this guy, that's the guy you with, period. Okay?
And if the latter husband hate her,
She can't have no other husband now. Because Paul knew about what Yahweh had said. When you go into Romans, let me go there real quick. When you go to Romans chapter 7, know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law has dominion over a man as long as he liveth. For the woman which has an husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth. But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her husband, her man. So then, if while her man liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from that law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man. So if she remarries while she's living, while the man is living, she's an adulteress. If that marital union was founded upon the principles understood in the Bible. If she was married to a Muslim and she comes into being an Israelite by practice, then that law is nullified. That marriage is nullified. Why? Because Islam does not teach biblical marriage. Islam teaches when marriage can be annulled and divorce can be granted if the two parties express that desire and are away from each other for 90 days. That's all. And that's not a biblical marriage. So that's why we have to look at these Gentile marriages to see, coming into the truth, do they apply? You get married in a Gentile system, they tell you to death do you part, but then they give you laws that says you can divorce. That's not a righteous marriage. That's a marriage with an escape clause that indemnifies both parties and both can move on. Okay?
and if the latter husband hate her, and write her a bill of divorcement.
So at that time, if the husband hated that woman, wanted to divorce her, and wrote a bill of divorcement, go ahead.
And giveth it in her hand, and sendeth her out of his house.
So now she leave again. Go ahead.
Or if the latter husband died,
Now the latter husband dies. Go ahead.
which took her to be his wife.
So no matter if she divorced or she's a widow now. Go ahead.
Her former husband,
The first husband that she had. Go ahead.
which sent her away, may not take her again.
Why? Because she's become another man's wife. Read.
To be his wife. After that she is defiled, for that is abomination for Yahweh. And thou shalt not cause the land to sin, which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee for an inheritance.
So now that woman cannot be divorced and go out and remarry. She can't do that now. So the prohibition against her going back to her first husband cannot be applied now. Why? Because she cannot righteously become another man's legal, righteous union. She's not concerned about she's committing fornication. And let's say she commits adultery. This is not talking about adultery. This is not talking about adultery. This is talking about her being married and then the husband dying or the husband divorcing her. And then she said, well, I'm gonna go back to the first guy I was with. In this biblical system, there's two men that are righteously married to her in this wilderness scenario that we have. In the scenario that we have from the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 24 and 25, there's only one righteous scenario, which means she belongs to one man for the rest of her life until that man dies, period. All right, continue. In righteousness, I'm saying. Because these marriages they have now are not righteous marriages. So that second man cannot righteously come into the equation. Because even in that first marriage, you understand? She leaves and says, well, I'm going to commit fornication. Where the Most High is dealing with adultery right here. Meaning you becoming one with that man in a legal, righteous marital union, and you're bringing the Most High into the equation, doing it under his standards, and that's not being done right now. Okay? Actually, that was the end, right? You finished verse 4? All right. So next reader, verse 5 through 13.
Deuteronomy 24, verse 5. When a man hath taken a new wife, he shall not go out to war, neither shall he be charged with any business, but he shall be free at home 1 year, and he shall cheer up his wife which he hath taken. No man shall take the nether or the upper millstone to pledge, for he taketh the man's life to pledge. If a man be found stealing any of his brethren of the children of Yashala, and maketh merchandise of him, or selleth him, then that thief shall die, and thou shalt put away evil from among you.
So kidnapping,
Human trafficking.
human trafficking. So kidnapping an Israelite was a death sentence. Okay? Kidnapping an Israelite was a death sentence. And when you take a wife, you got free from business for a year. Your first wife. Okay? The millstones were used to grind up your grain for your daily food. So you couldn't take something away from somebody that was used to get their food every day and to process the food. I read.
Take heed in the plague of leprosy, that thou observe diligently, and do according to all that the priests, the Levites, shall teach you. As I commanded them, so ye shall observe to do. Remember what Yahweh thy Elohim did unto Miriam by the way, after that ye were come forth out of Egypt. When thou dost lend thy brother anything, thou shalt not go into his house to fetch his pledge. Thou shalt stand abroad, and the man to whom thou dost lend shall bring out the pledge abroad unto thee.
So you loan somebody something, you're not supposed to go into the house and get the collateral. You're supposed to let them come out. So don't be forcing yourself and think you got some type of authority over people because they owe you something, is what this is talking about. Go ahead.
And if the man be poor, thou shalt not sleep with his pledge.
So if he's a poor man and needs that collateral, which is usually some type of garment, you got to give it back to him every day and come back and get it every day. Go ahead.
In any case, thou shalt deliver him the pledge again when the sun goeth down, that he may sleep in his own raiment, and bless thee, and it shall be righteousness unto thee before Yahweh the Elohim.
Okay. Verse 14 through 19. Next reader. Verse 14, chapter 24. 24:14, 25:19.
Thou shalt not oppress a hired servant
Which is an employee, somebody that's employed with you.
that is poor or and needy, whether he be of thy brethren or of thy strangers that are in thy land within thy gates. And the same day thou shalt give him his hire, neither shall the sun go down upon it, for he is poor.
So when you give somebody, when somebody is, you're supposed to owe somebody money for working for you, you're supposed to give them their money the day that they work. Unless there's some type of profit sharing or partner with you or something. But when this talking about a hireling, I mean this person was hired to work for you. You're supposed to pay them their money on a daily basis. Okay? Work till they pay, they're supposed to be the rule of the land. Go ahead.
And setteth his heart upon it, lest he cry again thee unto Yahweh,
He cry against you. Go ahead.
and it be sin in thee. Yahweh, the fathers shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. Thou shalt not pervert the justice due to the stranger or the fatherless, nor take the widow's raiment to pledge but thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in Egypt, and Yahweh the Elohim redeemed thee thence. Therefore I command thee to do this thing.
So
Then-
be respectful to the stranger, the fatherless, all right? Be respectful to them. And don't pervert the justice. Don't rule against them because you feel like they don't have nobody to help or protect them. Look out for them to make sure nobody can do them wrong. Go ahead.
They don't take the widow's garment as a security for a loan, okay? So you have to treat the widow with justice and equity. Go ahead.
When thou repeatest thy harvest in thy field,
So when you reap your harvest,
and hast forgot a sheaf in the field, and thou shalt not go back to fetch it, it shall be for the stranger and for the fatherless and for the widow, that Yahweh the Elohim may bless thee in all the work of thy hands. When thou beatest thine olive tree, thou shalt not go over the
But where does that help them out? What?
bows again. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. When thou gatherest,
So, in other words, when you take the fruit from your tree, in this case it's talking about an olive tree, and there's fruit still left on the tree, you leave it there for the stranger, the widow, and the fatherless. All right, go ahead.
when thou gatherest the grapes of thy vineyard, thou shalt not glean it after. It shall be for the fatherless and for the widow.
So when you pick your grapes from your vineyard, all right, you're not supposed to pick it dry. All right, you leave some grapes for the fatherless, for the stranger, and for the widow. All right, and why do we do these things? Verse 22, go ahead.
And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in the land of Egypt. Therefore I command thee to do this thing.
So the Most High commands us to do this thing, to lead the gleaning from the fields for the fatherless, for the widow, and for the stranger. Okay, to remember that we were once in that same position as being sojourners in the land of Egypt. Okay, close out.
Kasra bar Hawa,
Kashwa Debar Yahweh,
Nine Shalom Shemai.
Na Shabbat Na Shemai.
All the Yahweh said,
All that Yahweh says,
we do here.
what we doing here. All right, Deuteronomy 25, verse 1.
If there be a controversy between men, and they come unto judgment, and the judge shall be, if the wicked man deserve to be beaten, the judge shall cause him to lie down and to be beaten before his face according to the measure of the wicked by number.
So, if there was a quarrel between men, and they were brought before the judges, and the judges found one to be innocent and one to be guilty, the one that was guilty, depending on his crime and the penalty, he would be given corporal punishment. They'll cause him to lie down, and he'd be whipped in front of the witnesses.
so you got your butt whipped in ancient Israel. You wasn't above a butt whipping.
Okay.
The way a lot of you young brothers be talking to people, a lot of y'all need y'all butts whipped, man. Young brothers and you old brothers talking reckless, then young brothers talking disrespectful.
Verse 3.
40 stripes he may give him, he shall not exceed.
So that's the worst you could receive was 40 stripes.
Lest lest if he should exceed and beat him above these with many stripes, then thy brother should be dishonored before thine eyes. Thou shalt not muzzle the ox when he treadeth out the corn. If thou
So it says, don't muzzle the ox. That means don't prevent him from eating what he's treading in the field. So if he wants to lean down and eat some of the corn or wheat or whatever he's treading, let him do so. Okay.
Without the fear of mad cow disease.
if brethren dwell together and one of them die and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not be married abroad unto one of his kin, her husband, brother.
Read that again. Unto what? Unto? What are you saying unto? What does it say?
Unto one not of his kin,
Uh-huh.
her husband's brother shall.
Her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. So if the husband didn't have children, didn't have a son for this woman, and the husband died, then the brother is supposed to come and marry his sister-in-law because her husband died. So in other words, the brother-in-law is supposed to marry his widowed sister-in-law, and they supposed to be husband and wife. Doesn't matter if he's single or doesn't have a wife, or if he has one wife already. She's supposed to marry him, he's supposed to marry her. Next verse.
And it shall be that the firstborn that she beareth shall succeed in the name of his brother.
So the firstborn son that they have get named after the brother that died. Read.
That is dead, that his name be not blotted out of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And if the man like not to take his brother's wife, then his brother's wife shall go up to the gate unto the elders and say, my husband's brother refuseth to raise up unto his brother a name in Yashala. He will not perform the duty of a husband's brother unto me.
So now we're seeing the situation where if the man who died, brother, does not want to perform the obligation that we just read, then she will take this man, his brother's brother, up to the elders of the city and say that this brother refuses to perform intimacy in my husband's name, which is his brother. All right, he does not want to perform the obligation of the husband's brother with the wife. Verse 8, go ahead.
Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak unto him, and if he stand and say, I like not to take her, then shall his brother's wife draw nigh unto him in the presence of the elders, and loose his shoe off his foot, and spit before him, and she shall answer and say, so shall it be done unto the man that doth not build up his brother's house.
Now, a lot of y'all brothers are very bold and disrespectful on social media. But here we see that everything was being done in person at the city, and the elders was the one bringing everything out. So if the elders said it, and you was like, I ain't gonna do that. Elders is like, officer, come here. I think he need to get whooped. Elders would say, open up to Deuteronomy 20:25. You see? So my point is this: a lot of y'all on social media and remotely and dealing in video world and all of that, y'all disrespectful because ain't nobody around you to put a foot in your ass when you get out of order. And that's why a lot of y'all are running on social media acting and talking like a bunch of bees, like a bunch of hoe-a-ins. All right? Because you get a big set of balls when you're on social media. And you ain't gonna listen to what nobody tell you to do. But if it was in the city gates and we had a real government set up and you go against the elders, you would get your ass whipped. And that shows that a lot of y'all brothers are fake and you ain't trying to be a part of no government. And a lot of you officers ain't trying to really be a part of no government because you don't go by the structure that we see inside the scripture. You don't go by the order that the Most High have given us, man. And you want to keep it that way. You want to stay on social media world where you can hide with this girl and go with this girl, and you can smoke this, you can sniff this, and you can pop this pill. I honestly believe that half of these cats on the internet, man, be popping pills, man. Popping pills and getting high and then making their videos. Because there's no, or got a severe history of mental illness in their family. Because ain't no other, you ain't got to do it. We're going to just take it to the gates. We're going to deal with let's take it to leadership. And what the woman did. Woman spit in your face. And that's how a lot of y'all act. Y'all act like you need a woman to spit in your face because you have no honor to build up the nation. Your honor is just to put yourself out there, thinking you're doing a public service, but then you don't want to submit to the order we see in the scriptures, man. But like I keep laughing in my spirit about, boy, I know what I'm doing. My elder know what he doing. And believe me, when the ish hits the fan in America, your ass gonna be left alone and nobody telling you what to do just like you want it. Don't come looking for us. Am I wrong? Don't come looking for us. Your ass gonna die with the rest of the wicked, out of order Americans or whatever country you in, because you don't want to do right. Nobody want to have a man part of a community that can't take simple orders because they feel like they want to do something that the leadership don't like them doing. Well, you be your own leader to yourself, and you guide yourself through the pre-nuclear fall destruction and the chaotic ways that America is going to have. Because it's coming, and it's coming for you. Winter is coming. It's coming for you. If you ain't ready, you ain't ready. So the elders and the judges and officers, we are here for a reason. But you want to play pick and choose. Well, I'm going to listen on this. I ain't going to listen on this. If anything came before the judges and the elders and they made a decision about it, that was it. Well, it don't say in the Torah, I can't serve boogers inside of my soup to people. Nigga, we're gonna whoop your ass. Excuse my language. I gotta show you a scripture in the Torah that say don't serve me boogers? See, that's a cat that's a sneaky, wicked brother, man. Because whatever he think he can do, the Torah don't say that. You gonna serve, I believe you'll serve me boogers. Why wouldn't you? Well, the Torah don't say serve me boogers. The Torah don't say wash your hands after you take a dump either. So I can't trust your ass in the kitchen either. Because you in there doing all kind of pissing and crapping and coming back without washing your little dirty, nasty, black fingernail hands. Because you nasty. Because you got a spirit of rebellion and filth and pride inside of you. Come telling somebody, well, the Torah don't say that. The Torah, who ever seen the scripture where the Torah say, wash your hands after you eat, raise your hands? Who ever seen the scripture where it say, wash your hands before you eat or before you cook, raise your hands? Now, how many of you wash your hands before you cook food? Raise your hands. Or y'all just sit around with your legs crossed, playing with your toes and scratching your ears and be like, I'm gonna go make everybody a sandwich now. Looking on your sandwich, there's earwax down on my sandwich. Who put earwax in my sandwich? So sometimes the Torah is the guideline, but if you cannot interpret the Torah properly and take out the principles from the Torah and live the principles, that's where the elders and that's where the judges come in and be like, look, brother, you can't do this because it says this right here. You see? So this new world of Israel, this new congregation and cyber teaching is not the old world. See, it's easy to sit there at a chair and just talk to people that's not in front of you. But when you come to the table and you got, dozens of people or a few people in front of you listening that can raise their hand and ask you questions, now we see that half y'all brothers don't know what the heck y'all talking about because you can't answer questions. Somebody come out of left field with something. Well, what about this? Well, I don't know about that. What about this? I don't know about that. What about this? Well, let's just keep reading. Can't answer the questions. That's why everybody's a good teacher on the internet, because you're talking and teaching without nobody questioning what you're saying.
Right, no response.
No response. And guess what? Who's a better teacher than any of us? Hashatan. Satan is the best Bible teacher in the world, but he can't live it. He can't live the commandments. He can't do things decently and in order. He can't walk in chakmah. He can't even teach or talk about chakmah in the rawness of it. So that's why everything we're reading about is talking about bring somebody to the elders, bring somebody to the gates, bring somebody to the judges, right? But y'all don't want to do that now. Y'all think that y'all have the last. Did that man have control over his body when he had to lay down before the judge? Huh? Did he have control over his body? Could he be like, no, it's my body, my choice. I'm not going to lay down and get beat. Could he do that? I mean, he can say it with his mouth.
But that ain't what's going to
But that's just going to, you know what the white man say? What he say? Contempt of court. Contempt of court.
Okay.
That's going to be 2 more stripes from you. You want to keep going till we reach 40? Huh? Or you're not going to answer me? It's be another stripe. Now you want to keep going? There's 23 stripes. And we're on the same page now? We're on the same page now? 24 stripes. See, the judge keep adding it.
Okay.
And you got these big or strong Israelite, what? Officers that's waiting to grab you and lay you down if you want to resist. But this whole cyber stuff, man, like, that's what a lot of y'all brothers, man, like, I see how a lot of y'all gets down, man. You got to beg you to do the right thing. You want somebody to show you that what they telling you is the right thing, even though you can't show what you're doing is the right thing. So that brothers like that, man, when the crap hits the fan, brother, if you don't get yourself straight and get in order with the judges, officers, and elders, you're going to be stuck out there by yourself. And some of you elders is more wicked than the other men. Because all y'all worried about is popularity, likes and views, posting your little sorry videos, and collecting money from everybody to support your next idea you have, or to pay rent at the place where everybody comes to listen to you talk. You see? So this is what's going on. A lot of y'all are worse than the younger men. Because you letting the younger men get away with murder. Get away with going against what the Bible says to do. Doing their own thing. Meanwhile, you sitting back watching everything unfold. And you letting them get away with murder. But the Most High's got to hold you accountable. You got to give account for that person's soul. And I want as little blood on my hand as possible. But what blood is on your hands? You see? Where's the correction? All right, go ahead. What verse you in?
10.
Go ahead.
And his name shall be called in Yasha'ala, the house of him that had his shoe loosed.
So they give you a special name, boy. Your name shall be, what's his name? The house of him that has his shoe loose. Meaning what? The disrespectful brother who had his face spit upon by a woman. They would spit in your face, man. They spit in your face. His name was called the house who had his shoe removed. Okay? By Yath, it says Kalawatz Hanail. That's your name, Kalawatz Hanail. Call his name in Israel by Yath Kalawatza, okay, Kalawatza Hanail.
And the wife of the one draweth near to deliver her husband out of the hand of him that smiteth him, and putteth forth her hand, and taketh him by the secret.
So she grabbed a man by his private parts. Oh, you want to do this to my husband? I'm going to grab your balls. I'm going to snatch your balls off. That's what she's thinking. I'm going to grab your balls. And the man like, whoo, starts hitting them high notes. So what happens when a woman calls a man to sing the high? You know what? Hold on. It just says that men fight with one another, a man and his brother, and approach does his wife to the one to rescue the husband from the hand of the second and extends her height and grab. Okay, so she grabs him by his private parts. Go ahead. What happens to her?
Then thou shalt cut off her hand.
So you cut off her hand.
Thine
So,
eye.
and her name shall be called Jamie Lannister. So she has her hand cut off. Her hand gets cut off now. No more hand. No more hand. Sakara, she can't have her hand no more because she tried to touch a man's penis. Tried to put her hands and grab a man's balls. She grabs his balls, and her punishment is that she's supposed to have her hand cut off now. Go ahead.
Thine eyes shall have no pity.
Don't have no pity on her. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not have in thy bag diverse weights, a great and a small.
So different kinds of weights to weigh things. A stone to weigh. You're supposed to have one kind of stone. Go ahead.
Thou shalt not have in thy house, diverse measures, a great and a small.
So so when you weighing and doing business, you can't have different scales. Okay? You can't say, well, I'm gonna give you 5 pounds of apples. And then on your scale, it's like this, look, it's balancing, but you done made your scale so that the balance is only 4.5 pounds or 4 pounds. You understand what I'm saying? So it's only 4 pounds. So if it's 4 pounds, it's supposed to be like this, right? The apple's supposed to be heavier. You probably gotta put, if it's 4 pounds, it's supposed to be like this. Then you put another pound up there, say if it's 4 pounds of apple, it's supposed to be like this. And if you put a pound on there, if you got 5 pounds over here and 4 pounds of apples, it's gonna be like this, right? And if it's 4 pounds of apples and on a real scale and 4 pounds of weight, it's gonna be like this. And if you put that, when you make it have 5 pounds on your weight and 4 pounds of apple, it's gonna be like what? Like this. So people do, they say, well, here's 4 and 4. They say, okay, I'm gonna take these weights off, but I'm gonna make this one say 5 pounds. So they put on 4 pounds, put on 3 pounds of apples. Oh, we almost there. 4 pounds of apples, but the scale say 5 pounds. So you're giving them 4 pounds of apples, so you cheated the scale, man. You cheated the scale. Okay. Go ahead, what happened? So you can't do that. Go ahead.
A perfect and just weight shalt thou have.
Mm-hmm.
A perfect and just measure shalt thou have.
Mm-hmm.
That thy days may be long, and the land which Yahweh the High giveth thee.
Right.
For all that do such things, even all that
Wow.
unrighteously
Mm-hmm.
are an abomination.
Wow, the Most High said that is an abomination. That's an abomination. Go ahead.
Unto Yahweh the High.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that what Amalek did unto,
So remember what the Edomites from the nation of Amalek did to us. Go ahead.
unto thee by the way as ye came forth out of Egypt, how he met thee by the way and smote the hindmost of thee,
hindmost.
hindmost of thee.
So the old people out in the back, and then the little ones. You know, you might be in the front as a man and a woman, and all the little kids, we're gonna put them back with grandma and grandpa in the back of the camp that's moving. You know, because grandma and grandpa, they'd be walking slow, whatever, so we're gonna be in the front, you know. Go ahead.
All that were enfeebled.
Read, spell it again.
enfeebled.
Can you read, can you see the letters correctly? Why?
I don't know.
All right. So enfeebled, that means it's old or can't really move good, maybe forgetful. Just kind of, the age has caught up with them. So kind of feeble-minded. So it's not, their mind and their body is not as strong as it was. All right, go ahead.
In thy rear, when thou wast faint and weary, and he feared not Ahiah. Therefore it shall be when Yahweh that Ahiah hath given thee rest from all thine enemies round about in the land which Yahweh thy Ahiah giveth thee for inheritance, to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, thou shalt not forget.
At the Parashah. Parashah, you want to switch to Isaiah?
Yeah, Isaiah, next reader, Isaiah 54, verses 1 through 10. So, the Most High wanted us not to forget about how we were strangers in the land of Egypt, all right? And to remember what Amalek did to us coming out of the land of Egypt, not allowing us to pass in safety in his land. So we must remember these things. And we must have fair and just weights and balances when we deal with each other when it comes to commerce, as far as selling wheat, selling corn, selling oil. We must have fair weights and balances. And when we don't have fair weights and balances, it's an abomination to the Most High, as we read. Okay? So, is that your portion? All right, go ahead. Isaiah 54, verses 1 through 10.
Sing it, O barren, thou that didst not bear. Break forth into singing and cry aloud, thou that didst not travail with child. For more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married wife, saith Yahweh. Enlarge the place of thy tent, and let them stretch forth the curtains of thine habitations. Spare not, lengthen thy cords, and strengthen thy stakes. For thou shalt break forth on thy right hand and on the left, and thy seed shall inherit the Gentiles, and make the desolate cities to be inhabited.
So this is the prophecy that the Most High said that he will build up the ranks of our nation, Yasha'Allah, so we will possess the Gentiles and the other nations. All right? Even though we're barren now, our women shall sing forth in praise and worship of the Most High. We shall have abundance of children and the abundance of land. The Most High will lengthen and strengthen our stakes. All right? What verse you in?
Verse 4.
Go ahead.
Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou confounded, for thou shalt not be put to shame. For thou shalt forget the shame of thy youth, and shalt not remember the reproach of thy widowhood any more.
So when we are delivered, when we do receive our salvation, the Most High will cause us great abundance of substance to the point that we will put off the shame of what we didn't have and put off the remembrance of what we went through in our captivities. Okay, go ahead.
For thy Maker is thine husband, Yahweh of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Yeshua.
So our Maker and our Redeemer and our husband is Yahweh. Okay, go ahead.
The Elohim of the whole earth shall he be called. For Yahweh hath called thee as a woman forsaketh and grieved in spirit, and a wife of youth, when thou wast refused, saith Yahweh. For a small moment have I forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I gather thee.
So in a small moment, this moment that we're going through now, trying to get to the kingdom of heaven through all these trials and tribulation that we have to deal with on a daily basis, that the Most High will call us to be his wife and he will be our husband, and we will be redeemed out of this captivity of America and beyond, and brought into the land of Yasha'Allah with great substance, as promised by the Most High. Go ahead.
In a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment.
So the Most High said it was just a little wrath. Well, it was great wrath, we wouldn't be here today. So it is just a little wrath that the Most High has chastised us with for our disobedience. Go ahead.
But with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, saith Yahweh thy Redeemer. For this is as the waters of Noah unto me. For I have sworn that the waters of Noah should no more go over the earth. So have I sworn that I would not be wroth with thee, nor rebuke thee.
So what was the promise that he wouldn't judge us by water? Who knows? Go ahead.
After he fled the earth, Noah made a sacrifice, and then when Yahweh made the sacrifice, he said that he wouldn't destroy the earth with water anymore.
Right, but what was that sign that he was going to?
The rainbow.
The rainbow is the sign that the Most High said he would not destroy the earth anymore with water. But how shall he destroy the earth this time around? He said by fire. And how shall that fire be dealt with? By thermonuclear destruction, the Third World War, the Battle of Armageddon, the battle that shall take place in the Valley of Jehoshaphat over in the Middle East. Everything that we see happening on the news today is all bring in that Third World War, where nation shall rise up against nation. In the course of all that happening, the Most High said he will redeem us, Yasha'Allah, his chosen, his elect, those that want to be obedient to Torah, to the commandments, to the statutes, to Chakma, to wisdom, to the understanding, to Messiah, Yahushua, and Mashiach. Those are the ones that have a chance of redemption before the Most High. All right, go ahead. What verse you in?
Verse 10.
Okay, go ahead.
For the mountains shall depart, and the hills shall be removed. And my kindness shall never depart from thee, neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed, saith Yahweh that hath mercy on thee.
So the Most High said he would not remove his covenant and his peace from us. All right. The covenant he made with our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay. Next reader, let's read the Parashah of Brit Kadash. That would be in Matthew, the 24th chapter, verses 20 to verse 42. Let me get it. Okay.
No, Amalek, no. No, Amalek. Can you start reading? Hold up the service, brother.
Yeah, all right, go ahead and start.
The Bible right there too. Can you use that Bible right there?
Con.
Right here. book back there, don't you?
Which one?
You have that? Are you ready to start reading?
Matthew 24, verse 20.
But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Shabbat day.
So the winter, you know, because the wintertime is harder to do a lot of things. And the Shabbat, we can't do a lot of stuff without compromising the Shabbat. If the Shabbat supposed to be this big, open, free day for you to go play football with the children, and have a barbecue and a cookout, all right? Like brothers or certain trying to teach, you can't say their name because they act like a bunch of fagatrons. Oh, brother, you call my name on social media, man. You put out my real. You got a page with your real name, with your government birth name. I mean, how silly is that? Brother, don't tag me in nothing if it's in my government birth name page. Well, take down your government birth name page then. You don't want nobody seeing your government birth name page. You know what I'm saying? But this says what? Pray that your flight be not in the winter. Letting you know that you ain't supposed to be doing a whole bunch of stuff on the Shabbat. Pray that your flight be not in the winter or the summertime. So winter or the Shabbat day. Because your hands are tied on the Sabbath day. You can't do a whole bunch of stuff.
Right, you have limited activities on
You
the
can't
Shabbat
kindle
day.
that fire. You can't go and cook that pot roast. All right?
Or have a barbecue.
You can't have the barbecue.
Verse 21.
You was going to commentate on it.
I said my commentary.
No, you can't. Yeah.
All right.
You just kind of just land me back on my mind. Then you have something else to say about it?
I mean,
You forgot.
go ahead.
I take your medicine, man. Remember stuff.
For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be.
So that is a hard scripture to really comprehend because it says great tribulation, and we all have an idea what tribulation can look like.
Or what has happened already, too.
Right, what has happened. We all have an idea what tribulation may look like, depending on the movies that we watch, the CGI, the different special effects that we have seen. You know, we have all seen the great, earthquake movies and the great tornado movies and the great horror movies. But this tribulation that the Most High is speaking of is something that has not been since the beginning of the world, nor shall it ever be after. So what are we in store for is really the question. Do we really have a comprehension of an understanding of what can we expect? We really don't. So we're basically kind of winging it. You know, when it happens, we're gonna have to deal with it in real time and on that day. Okay, go ahead.
And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
So the Most High said he has to shorten these days, lest there be no flesh left to be saved. And we see that now. The whole effeminization of the black male, you know, it's trending now for men to dress like women, to wear short dresses, to walk down fashion runways as if it's fashionable to men to act and dress like women. Okay, and we just read in the scriptures that a man should not wear that which pertains unto a woman, nor a woman should wear that which pertains unto a man. Why is that? Because clothes carry a vibration, carries a certain type of spirit. And when you put on certain clothes, you take on that spirit. So the Most High told us to put on warlike apparel, okay? That is indicative of our culture of times past, all right? So the Most High said if he didn't cut this time short, there'd be no flesh left to be saved. So we see the transgender agenda being pushed, okay? We see the whole gay agenda being pushed, okay? Like, you have no gender now. You can be whatever you want to be. That's just confusion.
Binary.
All right, you can be binary. All right, all this is part of the Luciferian doctrine. Go ahead.
Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Hamashiach, or there, believe it not.
So yeah, if any man say that, yo, Yahweh Shai is over in the desert, or yo, Yahweh Shai is up in the mountain, or yo, Yahweh Shai is over in this jungle, it said believe him not.
Or the wilderness.
Or in the wilderness, believe him not. All right? Why did the Most High say this? Then this is important, verse 24.
For there shall rise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
So there shall many false messiahs arise, and doing many so-called miracles. But a lot of these miracles are going to be based on technology. You got the Blue Beam Project, based on sorcery, witchcraft, okay? Based on illusions, okay? Not based on righteous revelation by the Most High, but based on Hashatan's ability to deceive people with technology, sorcery, witchcraft, AI, and every other sort of technical advancement.
You gotta read the 42.
All right,
So we can't do the 5-minute comment. I mean, we could if we wanted to.
go ahead.
Verse 25. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not.
So don't believe all these so-called gurus or so-called messiahs telling you that they've seen Christ and they talk to the Messiah. Believe them not. Go ahead.
For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
Or they saying that they are the new incarnation of the Messiah. But they didn't come from the east to the west like lightning. Or they saying Messiah gonna be in the wilderness. And he's saying, I'm not gonna be in the wilderness or the desert.
So believe them not if they say these things.
Okay, go ahead.
For wheresoever the carcasses, there will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light.
That's talking about the wisdom and knowledge and understanding. Go ahead.
And the stars shall fall from heaven.
That's talking about all these governments, all right, falling from their position of power. Go ahead.
And the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
And what's the current powers over the heaven? That's talking about the so-called white man's power over the earth. That shall be shaken. Okay? All the so-called Chinese, the so-called Russians, okay? The so-called Arabs, they all shall be taken out of their seats of power and rulership. Go ahead.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son with power and great glory.
So they shall see the cracking of the sky and see the Son of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, come in his glory with the Malachium, the holy angel, Malachium, with the holy angels, okay, with the chariots.
And this is talking about when we get back in the land too. When his return happens, we back in Israel.
So that great tribulation, they shall see the Son of Man return in his glory and in his power. Go ahead. 31.
And he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the earth to the other, from one end of heaven to the other.
So the Most High said that Yahweh Shai shall send his angels with the sound of a trumpet to gather all his elect from the four corners of the earth. So wherever Israel is gathered at, from the north, south, east. Go ahead.
Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When its branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors.
So see what things? When you see the signs of heavens, when you see the great tribulations happening around the world, when you see the wars, rumors of wars, when you see the great reset trying to be reset on the earth, okay? You're witnessing the whole global pandemic happening before your very eyes. There's no part of the world that's not being affected by the pandemic, by the vaccines, by the New World Order, by every other agenda that they're trying to push forth, all right? Mandatory vaccines, okay? Door-to-door search and vaccinated people, all right, within the city gates. All this is gonna happen, all right? But are you prepared? Are you in that spirit of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, in the spirit of Yahweh? Are you walking in wisdom? Are you walking in the Torah? All right? That's your protection. Your obedience to Yahweh while Yahweh Shai HaMashiach through Kakma is gonna get you through these days to come. All right? Yeah, you need to prep, but you can only prep but so much. The first prepping you got to do is in your spirit, and that's your commitment to obedience to the Most High. Rehearsing the righteous acts. Go ahead.
Heaven and earth, verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away.
So heaven and earth shall pass away, but the word of the Most High shall not pass away, meaning that it will be fulfilled. Every word that the Most High has written in His holy Bible will come to pass, has come to pass, and will happen in the days to come. Okay, go ahead.
But of that day and hour knoweth no man.
So of that day and that hour, what verse you in?
Verse 36.
Yeah, but read that again.
But of that day and hour knoweth no man. No, not the angel of heaven, but my Father only.
So that's a major scripture. Matthew 24, verse 36. No man knoweth the day and hour in which the Most High shall return. Okay, so if they don't know it, how can any man on earth prophesy that they know when the second coming of Yahweh Shai is supposed to be?
People saying that?
You know, every so many years, the end of the earth is coming on such and such date. Get ready. You know, remember that? Like,
Kind of young son. What's his name? Sun Moon Young.
with the mass
The
weddings,
Moonies.
the Moonies. Yeah,
He said that. Joseph Smith have said it. Ellen G. White have said it. Charles Taze Russell said it.
okay.
Jehovah's Witness, Mormon, Seventh-day Adventists, they all had things about the end of the world.
Right, but no man knows that day. And then you know each so-called generation, there's a so-called false prophet that comes up that tries to give you that date. And they don't know the date. If Yahweh Shai don't know it, no man on earth knows it, so believe them not. Go ahead. Verse 37.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
So what were the days of Noah like? They were given into marriage. They were giving into commerce. They were being merry, being happy, partying, reveling, barbecuing, you know, carrying on as if the day of the Most High was not going to come. Okay? Like, despite everything they see happening around them, despite the pandemic or food shortages or droughts or earthquakes or tornadoes or any other Mosai created disaster that's happening in the world, all right, they act as if nothing is happening or nothing is going to happen of any great significance. Okay? So just as in the days of Noah, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So no man knoweth but.
Verse 38.
All right, go ahead.
For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came in and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
So this is what's going to happen in the days to come. Go ahead, verse 41.
Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come.
So watch and pray, because you don't know the hour and the day that the Most High coming through with Yahweh Shai Mashiach. So that was the Besorah. We're wrapping it up. Matthew 24, verse 20 to verse 42. All right, appreciate y'all coming out. Any closing words? All right, Shabbat Shalom to all those that came on. Stay encouraged. Get involved, help develop and grow your nation. Shalom.